Hey folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting live from Chicago, site of the Blueprint Summit, a conference for black men. It is Friday, October 18th, 2019. And of course, we'll talk more about the Blueprint Men Summit later today. But first off, we want to talk about, of course, a number of stories in the news. Remember the case out of Washington, D.C., where the black man was attacked by Metro Police? He's here to talk about what he's gone through and what he plans to do about that police assault. Senate Republicans voted yesterday to advance Justin Walker, a 37-year-old Trump judicial nominee, who is, folks, he earned a not qualified rating from the American Bar Association. I'm going to tell you exactly why this is a part of the Republican Party's focus to pack the federal bench with young right-wing ideologues. Also, jazz saxophonist Kirk Whalum will join us to talk about his new album. Plus, Michael Jordan opens a healthcare clinic for the underinsured. And Robert Smith received the prestigious Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy. All of that and more. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered from Chicago. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah.
right, folks, Roland Martin here from the Blueprint Men's Summit here in Chicago. We, of course, will talk more about the Blueprint Men's Summit and what the focus is and what they're trying to do when it comes to black men. First off, I want to talk about this story out of Texas, where former Dallas Maverick Harrison Barnes and his wife Brittany Barnes will pay for the funeral of Atiana Jefferson, who was fatally shot by a Fort Worth police officer while in her home. Barnes, who was traded from the Mavericks and Sacramento Kings last season, has a history of giving back to the North Texas community while he was playing there, including providing Thanksgiving meals for those in need and giving to the Girls and Boys Club. But it's just not Harrison as well, folks. And that is another NBA player is also going to be contributing to that. Now, Barnes and his wife, they're going to be giving the lion's share of the money to pay for her funeral. And one of the quotes that the Barnes said is that they said when the family is going through such a difficult story such as this, they should not have to be worried about paying for the funeral expenses of their loved one. Of course, Jefferson was a 28-year-old black woman shot and killed by the now former Fort Worth police officer while she was playing video games with her nephew. Also, Malik Jefferson of the Philadelphia Eagles. He also is going to be contributing to covering the cost as well. And so we certainly want to salute both of them. And Barnes and Jefferson said they had not talked with the family of Jefferson because they wanted to give them their necessary space. And that's one of the reasons why they made that decision to assist the family. Also, folks, first of all, so many things are happening all across our society, and we are still mourning, folks, the death of Congressman Elijah Cummings. Tributes continue to pour in. Now, of course, we know he is going when the funeral is going to take place. The funeral for Congressman Cummings will take place next Friday in Baltimore. And so let me go ahead and read those details for you in terms of where it's taking place. It's going to be at his longtime church there in Baltimore. The venue seats about 4,000 people. We certainly expect the church said there's going to be an overflow there as well. And so what's going to happen is he's going to lie in state in the National Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol next week, according to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Of course, a formal ceremony for members of Congress and the Cummings family will take place on Thursday morning, and a public viewing will follow. Then, of course, that's taking place again on Thursday. Then on Friday will actually be the funeral. Now, the viewing for Cummings will take place on Friday at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m. At the church in Baltimore. I'm going to pull it up for you in just 1 second. And then, of course, the funeral will follow at 10 a.m. And so he worshiped at New Psalmist Baptist Church. That's exactly where the funeral is going to take place. And so, again, 8 a.m. on Friday will be the viewing for Congressman Cummings at the church in Baltimore. And beginning at 10 a.m. will be the funeral for Congressman Cummings. And so Thursday taking place at the U.S. Capitol, a ceremony on Thursday. And then, of course, on Friday will be the funeral for Congressman Cummings. And so, again, we will any more details that take place. Also, the family has asked folks not to provide flowers. They do want any contributions to go to the Elijah Cummings Youth Program. And so, again, in lieu of any flowers, the Cummings family is asking that all proceeds go to the Elijah Cummings Youth Program. Also, March Funeral Home in Baltimore, they are handling all the arrangements for Congressman Cummings. And again, as I said, Bishop Walter Thomas Jr., the pastor of New Psalmist since 1975, he's going to deliver the eulogy. And again, that church seats 4,000 folks, and they fully expect there'll be an overflow crowd there in Baltimore for the homegoing service of longtime Baltimore Congressman Elijah Cummings. Also, folks, let's talk about some news with Michael Jordan, basketball legend and social media superstar. Well, Hall of Famer Michael Jordan was in tears as he opened the first of 2 groundbreaking clinics that will offer cutting-edge health care to underserved communities in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here's Michael Jordan with that announcement.
You see my name, but yet you see a lot of people behind me, commitment, especially from my mom, about caring for other people, being a part of a community that matters.
You take Michael Jordan, you take Dr. Hoban, you take Carl Amata, the CEO of our organization, And you put those people together with a commitment of making a difference in the community, and what you get is this beautiful facility that you see behind us.
Because our goal is to not talk about closing a health equity gap. It's talking about eliminating a health equity gap.
I can only do this in gratitude that I can't ever repay what you actually give it to me, but this is a start.
Wow, such a great story there by Michael Jordan. So we certainly appreciate his philanthropy and what he is doing when it comes to health in his home state of North Carolina. All right, folks, speaking of philanthropy, billionaire Robert Smith, of course, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Vista Equity Partners. Of course, he made headlines by paying off all of the college debt of the 2019 graduating class at Morehouse College. He has been awarded the prestigious Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy during a ceremony in New York City. The award is given to individuals who have demonstrated significant and lasting impact on a particular field, nation, or international community. Here's Robert Smith's acceptance speech.
First, let me thank the Carnegie Corporation and Vartan and his staff and all of you wonderful people that represent the Carnegie legacy. I grew up in Denver, Colorado, son of school teachers. And I saw my parents exhibit a form of philanthropy every day. My mother wrote a check every month for $25 to the United Negro College Fund for over 50 years. And I saw my father bring his organizational capacity to the local YMCA so that the kids in my neighborhood could enjoy the outdoors. And he led the North City Park Civic Association so that we could participate in this great fabric that is America as voters. I'm the first generation in my family to have all my rights in America. And when I think about that, I take that responsibility seriously to bring all of the education and dedication and effort to create in this world, in this economic structure, opportunity that I can then drive into philanthropic fabric to do what I think is the most important thing on this planet, which is to liberate the human spirit. I'm proud to be a part of the Carnegie family, this institution of people who liberate the human spirit. I have a chance every day to participate in that in a real and tactile way. And there is no greater gift on the planet than to do that. I want to thank my beautiful daughters for being here, my beautiful wife for supporting all that we do, and I want to thank you all for continuing Carnegie's dream and ensuring this planet becomes more just and there's more love for mankind. Thank you.
And certainly a huge congratulations to my alpha brother, Robert Smith, on that significant award. And so we certainly thank all that he has done in taking his net worth is about $5 billion. And so the millions that he has been giving to various philanthropy efforts all across this country. And so we certainly thank him for what he has done and what he is doing. All right, folks, let's talk about this story that we covered here in June. And that was a young man, Tapia Musanza, who was attacked and repeatedly tased by Washington, D.C. Metro Police. Now, after a bystander posted the video on social media, the charges against Musanza were dropped, and the police launched an internal investigation into the case. Well, he has now filed a lawsuit, and he and his attorney, Yaida Ford, joins us now to tell his story. So first of all, I hope I pronounced both of your names correct. And so if I did, my apologies. And so how are both of you doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you here. And so, first of all, the people walk us through. I mean, what happened? I mean, we remember this case, but of course, we're going to show the video as well. But were you just simply walking by and seeing the police where they had stopped these several African American young boys? Take us through what happened on that June day.
Sure. Before I do, I just want to take time to pay my respects to the the late congressman's family. I hope God protects them and gives them the grace that they need to get over this. With regards to what happened to me on June 22nd, I was on my way home on U Street, Cardozo Station, and I was on the platform. Suddenly, I see an officer chasing a young man. At that point, I did not know the young man's age. Chasing him down the platform, he tackled the young man, put him on the ground, restrained him for an extended period of time. When you actually look at, in retrospect, when I look at the body mass of the young boy and the body mass of the officer, I don't even think that was a necessary way to restrain a minor. As the events continued rolling out, the officer continued to have his knee on the young man's back. I approached the officer and asked the officer, is this how you treat young men? At that time, I did not know the young man's age. Is this how you treat young men? And the officer, at that point, he replied, this is an open investigation or something like that. At that point in time, then I asked him, can you please put the young boy on the bench so that you could treat him with a bit of dignity? At that point on, he complied with my request. He put the young man on the bench. I proceeded to ask the officer to ask the young man his age, because I wanted to make sure that, that young man was conscious enough and I think wise enough to understand the ramifications of what actually is happening in that moment and how it will affect him going forward in life. At that point in time, the officer did ask the young man, and he found out that officer was 14-year-old, and according to the United States law, that is a minor. And minors here, before you can do anything regards with legal affairs, you need a guardian to be present, and there was no present guardian. So I came in as a standby guardian in that moment, because here in the African community, you have to stand by the young man, regardless of where that young man is born. We stand by our own. We stand by who we believe that every man has or every woman has a right to raise up a child for the right way, and showing them what is right in life. So I took that responsibility on me.
Here's what was crazy. We played the video, and it seemed as if the initial officers were talking with you.
Yes.
There were no issues. There were no problem. And all of a sudden, this other officer who was not there comes up and just bum rushes the scene and completely disrupts everything.
Yes. So I was in the process of de-escalating the situation, because, I'm a peace-loving person. I believe in nonviolence. So I was in the process of engaging the officer so that he could de-escalate the situation. Then that third officer came in without the context or the prior knowledge. He wasn't even the first responder, so he didn't have I wouldn't say, I don't know about jurisdiction, but he just didn't have the enough information to act on. At that point in time, I asked the officer, why am I being pushed? He continued to respond, this is an open investigation. He pushed me again. There was someone behind me. There was no way I was actually going to move, even if I had the option to. And I continued to let him know this is open space. Like, I'm a metro rider. I've put in money into the metro system, so just by rights alone, I'm entitled to be in that position at that point in time. Then that officer continued to push me. He pulled out his taser. Before I could even respond, he tasers me. When the first taser hit, I was in a state of shock, because I knew I did not do anything wrong, because at any point in time, I was not threatening. The first officers who were the first responders were on the other side of the platform. So if I was a threat or in any way, they could have let me know in that position in time. And I would have respected the orders, because I did not have the context to question what they were doing. But I was more worried about the welfare of that young man, and which is I continually asked about the welfare of the young man. Nothing about the investigation, nothing why the officers or judging them of what is right or wrong. I just said, can you please treat the young man humanely? That's all. And that's just by me exercising one of the oldest forms of humanity, which is compassion. I was tased. So I'm at a point where I now confuse as what is right or wrong in our community, be it black or white, but this continually seems to be happening to black people. So as an African immigrant, I need to understand, maybe I didn't get the memo that things have changed in here. So I need to understand. That's why I'm asking for justice. It's not a matter of like, oh, I want, yes, I want to be, because if someone did wrong and someone has to pay. Yes, I'm not going to deny that fact. Someone has to pay. But we need to know as a society that this is how black people are going to be treated going forward, so that we know if this is where we put dollars here. We pay money. I'm an entrepreneur. Prior to even getting to my cognitive damages, I was an entrepreneur. I provided intellectual capital to this nation. And this is how we treat people. So when in business, one thing I love, there's rankings. There's rankings of ease of doing business. And as an entrepreneur, the ease of doing business for me was escalated to a point where I cannot do business because I have cognitive injuries now. So I don't know if America is honest enough to rank itself according to black people continually to getting abused, whereby we provide also intellectual capital to this nation. So we needed to be respected. Unfortunately, you're not respecting us. I have proof. I have intellectual property that I've contributed to this society. So this is how we treat the highest level of intellect. Contribution to humanity, you tase me. So I need some form of understanding what I need to be doing as a human. If I'm doing good, I've worked hard. I've worked hard.
Yes.
Ms. Ford, you said that, first of all, the charges were dropped. It got lots of attention. Any apology? Anything from Metro Police? And when did you file the suit, and what kind of damages are you seeking?
The suit was filed up September 17th. We are seeking compensatory damages for the pain and suffering, punitive damages. Obviously, we're still tolling damages because Mr. the nature of the injuries, the extent of that is actually unknown at this time. When he used the word cognitive, that's referring to memory and concentration, the ability to perceive and understand information. He's being tested, in the process of being tested now, and the injuries are substantial.
First of all, have you talked to the young men? Have you communicated with them since this happened?
Are you asking me, have I communicated with the young men who were being arrested? The young men that he interfered with?
Yeah. Well, first of all, either one of you.
I have not made contact with the families of those young men. I understand they have reached out to Mr. Masunza via social media to, thank him for intervening, but no direct contact has been made since the lawsuit has been filed.
Sir, have you?
I have not. One thing why I haven't reached out immediately is because, what else can I say to that young man? How do I console him? Because, you see, I may be mature enough to get over this and say, okay, you know what, I need to move on with my life, I need to figure out. But there's a young man who's just starting his career. Yeah, the charges were dropped there, but that trauma, who's going to address that? How do I even console him and tell him, okay, I've taken up the burden, but how is he going to move forward? He's just starting his life. If I wasn't there, he would have had an arrest record.
Right.
And here in America, this is an open secret. Like, black people have a hard time here. It's not me talking negative around anyone. You are going to cover a story about someone who just shot in their home. Like, think about that. Someone in their home. So it's like we cannot continue to hide around issues that are affecting our community. I personally have took a stance, say I'm not going to do business here. That's my stance.
Well, first off, let me say this here. We certainly appreciate what you did. We appreciate the sister who recorded that video as well. You're absolutely right. We can't say it takes a village to raise a child if the village does not step up when those kids are targeted. And in fact, when we covered this story, the cops didn't even know if those young men were involved in something that took place a distance away. Well, they were clearly targeted but simply because they were black. And so we thank both of you very much. Please keep us up to date on what happens with this suit, with this case, because we certainly want to keep our folks, Roland Martin Unfiltered, our folks who watch it, informed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Going to go to a break. I'll talk about this story with my panel and other issues when we come back. Broadcasting live from Chicago, the Blueprint Men's Summit. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, fam, it's almost that time. The holiday season, of course, is, for many of us, the favorite time of the year. Now, whether you celebrate Halloween, Thanksgiving, Ramadan, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's, all of these, of course, from October to the end of the year, this is when you think about spending time with the people you love the most. This is also the time to count your blessings and support those less fortunate and look at how you can have an impact on their lives. Well, I have the perfect opportunity for you to be a holiday hero, have a major impact on other families. Here's the deal. Right now, hundreds of thousands of Americans are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they lack the financial resources to pay their bail. Now think about it. If you are arrested for any minor offense, you'll be taken directly to jail. If you don't have bail money, whether it's a few hundred or a few $1,000s, you will stay there until a court date is scheduled. Now that could be days, weeks, or even months. America's bail system is broken and has created a two-tier system of justice, one for the rich and one for the poor. Folks, freedom should be free. That's why the Ebony Foundation is partnering with the Bail Project and is sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. With your help, our goal is to bail out 1,000 people by New Year's Day. How's that for a holiday gift? A donation from you can change someone's life tomorrow, and here's why it is critical. People of color represent upwards of 90% of the jail population across the country. It ranges from 50 to 90% depending upon where you are. Of course, then when they stayed in jail, 90% of people with misdemeanors ended up pleading guilty. However, when bail was paid, 50% of the cases were dismissed and less than 2% received the jail sentence. Sometimes justice needs just us to join the fight. Folks, you can be a holiday hero by donating $25, $50 or more to help the Ebony Foundation bring our brothers and sisters home for the holidays. To donate, go to homebytheholiday.com. That's HOMEBYTHEHOLIDAY.com. And of course, the Ebony Foundation is tied to Ebony Magazine. And so we certainly appreciate the work that they're doing to assist those who are most in need. All right, folks, welcome back to Chicago, the Blueprint Men's Summit. This is where I'm broadcasting from. I now want to, first off, bring in our panel right here, Dr. Niambe Carter, Howard University, Department of Political Science, Joanna LeBlanc, a National Security and Foreign Affairs legal analyst, Michael Brown, former vice chair, DNC Finance Committee. Folks, to hear that brother, I mean, I remember the story, but to hear him talk about why he stepped in was just amazing. And I think, and when you hear his concern and compassion for these young black men, that was simply admirable.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we hope that anybody would extend that measure of humanity to any person, young or old. I mean, I certainly am thankful that he was there that day to intervene, because God knows what would have happened to those children had he not, because he was an adult and who could take control of the situation in ways that young people sometimes do not feel empowered to do. And certainly those officers were not there for anybody to sort of interfere with what they were trying to do that day.
Michael, Joanna?
Well, you know what, Roland, we see a lot of, and as Professor Carter just mentioned, we're seeing a lot of that humanity, and we actually see it more from our people than we do from others. For example, whether folks thought it was right or wrong, what happened in the Officer Gaynor trial, at the end of that trial last week, you know, all the hugs going around from the victim's family, from the judge to the officer. Again, we can debate whether that was right or wrong or not, but it was people of color showing that kind of compassion. And hopefully that's what people see, and that's what's highlighted.
I think ultimately the gentleman is asking for justice, and I pray that justice is served in his case, because he did do the right thing. And we would hope that if any of our children were put
sounds like, hold on, Johanna, 1 second. I think we're having issues with your microphone, because I'm not really hearing her clearly. So if y'all can check Johanna's microphone, and then we'll actually restart. So please do that, because again, she's sounding real hollow. I don't think we fully had her. So if it's fixed, Johanna, go ahead.
Yeah, we would hope that all those gentlemen is asking for is justice, and I'm hoping that justice will be served. And I think every parent or everybody in this world will hope that if their child were put in similar situation, someone would step in and be compassionate and ensure that the rule of law is applied. And even just that, and again, I pray that justice is served for him and many other black men in America.
Well, again, I mean, certainly it's a story that we're going to be following, and I'm just glad to see this brother step up and come to the aid of those young brothers. Now, folks, let me break something down. Y'all have been hearing me talk over and over and over again about Republicans trying to take over the federal judiciary. Let me be as clear, as unambiguous as possible. Any dumbass out there who says, oh, my vote means nothing, all the people are the same, you are nuts. Let me explain to you what Republicans are trying to do and why you cannot sit your ass at home. The Senate Judiciary Committee on yesterday voted along party lines to confirm the nominee of Justin Walker, a man who earned a not qualified rating from the American Bar Association, to become the next federal judge. Again, every Republican on the committee voted to advance Walker. Every Democrat said no. Who is Walker? He is a 37-year-old associate law professor at the University of Louisville who has worked as a speechwriter for Donald Rumsfeld, of course, previous Secretary of Defense. In addition, he clerked for former Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy and current Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Here's why this is an abomination. He has never tried a case, criminal or civil. He's never even been co-counsel in a case. Here is Foster actually trying to explain his qualifications to the Senate Judiciary Committee.
So tell me why you have enough experience to be a district court judge.
Well, Senator, I've spent my career immersed in the law with a record that I think shows my qualifications in 4 ways. First, in my primary role as a law professor, I teach students trial practice. I teach students criminal procedure, evidence, and constitutional law, all with a focus on litigation and really a focus on judicial decision-making. And I feel fortunate that I've been instrumental in helping prepare nearly 200 students to be ready to practice on day one, ready to hang out a shingle, which many of our students do, and ready to represent clients effectively in court. Second, in my role as an academic, I've written hundreds of pages of law review articles about criminal procedure, about the judiciary, about constitutional law, and I've been lucky they've been published in some of the leading journals in the country. But third, I've done something unusual for a full-time law professor. I've maintained a private practice, and I've litigated complex questions of criminal procedure, civil procedure, constitutional law, criminal law, administrative law, labor law. I've litigated at a large national law firm, then as a solo practitioner, and now as a partner at another large national law firm, as well as clerking for 2 Supreme Court justices. And fourth and finally, I think there's a reason that hundreds of local attorneys from my legal community have written some 17 letters to this committee saying that I have the skills to analyze complex legal questions, to think quickly on my feet, and maybe most importantly, to listen and learn with humility and an even-handed temperament.
Now, folks, understand why he is being pushed forward. First, he's from Kentucky. Where's Mitch McConnell from, the Senate Majority Leader? Kentucky. He has vouched for this guy as well. But what is the most important thing here when it comes to Justin Walker? He's 37 years old. I keep trying to explain to y'all what Donald Trump has done is he has said to the Federalist Society, a right-wing legal group, he has said to white conservative evangelicals, I'm going to just let y'all pick whoever y'all want. They are by design, listen to me clearly, they are by design choosing federal judges with limited experience who are pro-business, anti-consumer, anti-civil rights, anti-environment, and they're picking them between the ages of 35 and 40 so they can be there for the next 40 to 50 years. These are lifetime appointments. I need y'all to do the math. This man is 37 years old. Let me say it again. He's 37 years old. That means, remember I told you, by the year 2043, this will be a nation that is majority people of color. That is 24 years. If this man serves on the federal bench for 40 years, he'll be 77. What did I just tell you? 24 years will be a nation majority of people of color. That means after America becomes a nation majority people of color, this man, if he stepped away at 77, means he will be on the bench for another 16 years and beyond. The Republicans want to control the federal judiciary for the next 50 years. That means they'll be ruling on what laws are constitutional and unconstitutional. This man's legal writings, he has argued that the FBI is not independent of the presidency. He has argued against environmental protections. I'm telling y'all, and Democrats, I'm gonna go to you first, Michael Brown. Democrats have absolutely failed year in and year out, every presidential election, to underscore how critically important the federal bench is. In fact, I'm gonna read for y'all. I posted this stuff on Twitter before I go to Michael. I'm gonna read for you what Michael Steele, now mind you, Michael Steele is the former chairman of Republican National Committee. He knows how these Republicans think. He knows exactly what's on their mind. This is what he tweeted. So how does someone become a federal judge who's never tried a case? Y'all need to listen to Roland S. Martin. Dems are supposed to be so woke, but you're sure damn sleeping on this. Michael, Republicans make the courts a main voting reason. Democrats don't, and that is a huge mistake.
Absolute fact. And by the way, your tweet, I retweeted when I saw that. But you know, as you've talked about, obviously, and you and I have talked about the same thing over and over again, elections have consequences. But moreover, we have to go back, and many of us did everything we could that had any kind of relationship with Senator Reid when he was majority leader, and begged him, do not take away that filibuster, because at some point it will come back and haunt us. And that's what's happening right now. You don't need 60 votes. With then it almost forced you to have bipartisan support for a particular justice. But now all you need is 51.
But remember, Michael, remember initially the filibuster was taken away because, first of all, remember the nuclear option.
Yep.
They initially, what McConnell has done, he's taken a whole different level. Not only does he not care about that, he doesn't care about the blue slip, which means that if a senator puts in a blue slip, that puts a hole in the nomination. In the history of the Supreme Court, only three federal judges have been confirmed when both states' senators submitted a blue slip. All three have taken place under Trump.
They've ignored the blue slip policy. It's gone. They've run roughshod over the bench, and they're going to continue to do it.
Absolutely. You know, the unfortunate...
Dr. Carter, Dr. Carter, I know the people who are watching, and they probably saying, Roland, why are you so bothered by this? Because I need people to understand, when you file a lawsuit, when you file a federal discrimination suit, when you file an education lawsuit, when you file a voter suppression lawsuit, when you file any kind of federal lawsuit, if they get their way, you're going to have, if Donald Trump wins re-election, first of all, he's going to appoint probably by the end of this term more than 200 judges. If Donald Trump gets 4 more years, he likely will have the ability to appoint upwards of 500 federal judges. That is an unbelievable number.
Excuse me, Dr. Carter. That's also assuming, Roland, that the Senate stays the way it is. Obviously, if the Senate flips.
Right.
But I mean, I think this is the point that that you've been sort of beating this drum for a really long time, is that people are playing the long game here. Republicans recognize that their share of the population is shrinking. They're not popular for most of this country, but they understand if they can control this nation's institutions, then they can have a reach that is far more consequential than this election or the next election. This will be Donald Trump's legacy. He's already had his crack at the Supreme Court and these other federal courts, and he's likely to get another Supreme Court justice if he wins another term, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg is hanging on, but she can't stay forever. I mean, and I think this is also a moment for us to think about what these Republicans have done. They don't actually care about norms, about consequence, about their own reputation. They let Merrick Garland hang around for 293 days. In fact, the Senate refused to do its job and hold a confirmation process for Merrick Garland. These people have made it clear they don't care about qualifications. They don't care about the American Bar Association and its ratings of any of their nominees. They want to control this country because they recognize the demographics are against them. But if they can control the institutions, then it really doesn't matter how this country changes racially or otherwise. And that's the game that they're playing. And Democrats need to get on board and start thinking the same way that these Republicans do, because they are playing a long strategy and Democrats are playing checkers.
Johanna, I mean, I'm telling you, it is baffling to me when people don't understand this.
Yeah,
we talk about the long game. 50 years is real. That's half a century.
You know, there are some jobs in life that I do believe that you can learn while you're working, right? But there are those that, such as becoming a federal judge, a lifetime appointment. You need experience, and teaching law students how to practice law does not qualify you to be a federal judge. And as you noted, Roland Martin, our institutions have real issues. Like, we have real problems when it comes to our criminal justice system, our environmental laws and such. So to have someone on the bench who just does not have the experience is very problematic. And also, I want the public to be mindful that we will be paying Mr. Walker over $200,000 per year of taxpayers' dollars for him to perform a duty that I don't think he's qualified for. And it's very problematic. And this is why people have to pay attention.
Jahan, this thing is so much deeper. That they appointed a woman who had, and again, has nothing to do with her being a woman. She's a white woman. She had graduated. Dr. Carter. Michael, she had graduated just 11 years earlier from law school. She was 35 years old. You cannot tell me this woman somehow is so brilliant that she has earned a federal appointment at 35.
But again, like you said, these people are thinking about the youth, right? They're saying, I can have this person in play for 50 plus years, right? And that's what they're thinking about. They don't care about experience. They don't care about your ability to wade through the sort of sticky situations. As Johanna rightly points out, I don't think that reading about politicians and talking about politics makes me a politician, right? There's something fundamentally different about what I do as a study of political science and being a politician. The same thing with the law. But they don't care about that. They are ideologically driven, and they are motivated by this desire to hold on to an America that does not exist, that most Americans don't even want.
Look, real simple. If you, Michael, if you want to teach the law, go right ahead. But being a federal judge for life is a hell of a lot different, and I'm sorry. I think you need to at least step foot in the damn courtroom.
And, you know, Senator Graham, obviously they have meetings and they brief. Clearly, the guy knew what questions were coming, clearly. But those are the only questions he could even sound competent on, hence why Senator Graham asked him those. And he answered them the way he's been briefed to answer them. So, as Dr. Carter mentioned, as Ms. LeBlanc mentioned, their strategy is clear. It's in your face. They're not pretending. though, and you and I have talked about this before, Roland, I still claim, even though Trump has said, look, sorry, 45, you know I don't like to say his name. Even though 45 said, hey, look, Federal Society, you pick these judges. There's still something to be said that Vice President Pence would pick the same judges. So why do they still like this guy being president? They would still get the same results.
Easy.
Same kind of stuff.
No. Actually, you know what? Here's why. I'm telling you right now.
Unless they believe believe what he says.
And another thing we have to look at.
I think here's the deal. I'm being straight up. Mike Pence, former member of Congress, former governor. Mike Pence is a politician. Donald Trump actually doesn't care about the job of president. Donald Trump, I call him Trump. I guess I'm not. So Donald Trump actually was doing it by design. What you have here is the fact that they probably will run into more resistance from Mike Pence because he will want to pick his own judges. Oh. Now, he's aligned with them. He would want to. And let me be real clear. This is. I fundamentally believe this. I tweeted this earlier. This is what's going on and why Republicans have no problem with Trump. They say all this stuff privately. They think he's nuts. They think he's crazy. They think he's out to lunch. But guess what he's doing? He's giving all of the factions, the three main factions of the Republican Party, everything they want. Evangelicals. They want the Supreme Court and the federal bench. He said, okay, here you go. The pro-business Republicans. What do they want? Massive tax cuts and end all regulation on anything. Donald Trump's like, party favor, here you go. The third, the strong defense Republicans. Donald Trump, $700 billion increasing to the Pentagon, massive increase in the budget every single year. Okay? Y'all get what y'all want. So those three entities are laying back saying, we're perfectly fine. Yeah, he's nuts. But guess what? We're getting everything that we want. So we're going to ride this sucker till the wheels fall off.
Okay.
That's
why. Okay, fair enough.
And I think that Mitch McConnell, Mitch McConnell was very excited about this entire process with the Senate in terms of getting this nominee, confirmed and such. Because as we know, Mitch McConnell hasn't really cared much about anything in the Senate except for judicial nominations, getting them confirmed. It has been his sole priority as the leader in the Senate. And there are countless bills sitting in the Senate that have not been touched because that is not the priority of Mitch McConnell, unfortunately.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. First and foremost, let me say this here. I want to thank all three of you for being with us. I know being on the road makes it a little bit more difficult, but your perspective is critically important. And I'm telling you right now, everybody watching right now, you better tell your friends, tell your family that the courts, they matter. If Republicans stay in control of the Senate and keep the White House, it's going to be game over for any civil rights protections we have in this country. I'm telling you that right now. You can bookmark this, earmark this, pick the point, and watch it happen if it actually holds up. Johanna, Dr. Carter, Michael Brown, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, coming up next, I'm going to chat with my man Kirk Whalum. He has a new CD out. Can't wait to check it out. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Chicago, site of the Blueprint Men's Summit. I'll be back in a moment. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. experience taking place in Cabo, November 7th through the 11th. Of course, if you want to attend, go to lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. But if you cannot be in Cabo for those 4 days, 14 different amazing artists, then, of course, you could live stream it. Get your live stream pass at gfntv.com. That's gfntv.com. As I said, amazing artists, Gerald Albright, Alice Bouillon, Kirk Whalum, Donna McClurkin, Shalia, Roy Ayers. Man, it's going to be an unbelievable 3-day extravaganza, and so look forward to you participating. And again, get your live streaming pass to cover those 3 days, all 14 concerts. You'll be able to watch right here on your phone, on your iPad, computer. Does not matter. Go to gfntv.com. That's gfntv.com to get your live stream pass. All right, folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting live for the Blueprint Men's Summit here in Chicago. Right now, of course, you just saw, we talked about Luxe Jazz. Don't forget to go to gfntv.com to get that live streaming pass. And one of the folks who are going to be there is my favorite artist, jazz saxophonist from Memphis, Kirk Whalum. And he actually has a new album out. Kirk, what's up, my brother?
Man, you are up, as always, man. I've just been tracking with you, man, speaking truth, you know, as always.
Well, man, is always glad to have you here. First and foremost, folks, the people out there that need to understand something. I got every Kirk Whalum album. Matter of fact, okay, I don't have one. Kirk was supposed to send it to me. I ain't got it yet. But anyway, I got all of Kirk Whalum's album. I'm talking about going back to his first one, floppy disk. And then, of course, all the way through. And so, Kirk, so which album is this? How many albums have you now put out?
Man, that's a good question, Roland, because some of them, as you know, I did some records, for instance, with BWB, with some with Bob James. You know, a lot of the stuff that I've done is collaborations. But solo records, 26, I believe, including the new one you mentioned.
Wow. So let's talk about first of all, before we get to the new one, take folks through just that process in terms of you putting an album together, because there's certain themes, certain focuses. I remember when you did In This Life, it was this bluegrass, gospel, jazz, all kinds of different things, and then you had other albums like Colors, and then you different ones. And so as you're putting together your next album project, I mean, what are you thinking? How are you processing it? How does it come together?
Sure, it's a journey, man. It's an evolution. You know, really, it's kind of like going with the river. You know, I remember someone once told me about the Mississippi River. You know, you don't get to tell it where to go; it tells you. And really, that's how the spirit is when it comes to the creative arts. You just sort of go with what inspires you and what animates you. And for me, you know, all along the way, man, it's like I'm sort of, you know, moving left and right. It's been really something. But it all began, as you know, when Bob James heard me when I was living in Houston, playing there, man, with my band at a place called Cody's, and all along the way, I've had really great mentors like Bob James to help me kind of know help maybe not to make too many mistakes or judgment, you know, because it's a process making records, especially, you know, where we all started, you know, Terrence Blanchard, Don Harrison, all of us, you know, we started around the same time. We all got signed to Columbia Records in around, you know, 1983. And so, man, in that time, you had to really know the process, the recording process, production, and all of that. Now it's a little different because of the technology, right? But I'm grateful that I got in at that time.
When it comes to, first of all, folks who may not realize, you talk about those collaborations. I mean, you played with some amazing people. I've heard your music so long, I actually know your sound, so I can listen to a song and I'm like, that's Kirk. And so, for folks who don't know, Tell them some of the biggest hits that you played on with some of the biggest stars.
Sure. Well, I played on a lot of Luther Vandross records. He once told me, he said, I don't like saxophone, but I like you because you play like a singer. And so basically, he would have me play on just about every record he did. And, you know, songs like Anyone Who Had a Heart and that type of thing. But then, you know, with Whitney Houston, I was just touring with her. Ricky Minor and Paul Jackson Jr., you know, we were just on the road. And one of the stops was to, you know, finish up this movie. She had finished the movie except for this one scene, and that was where she sang that song to Kevin Costner. And so there we were. She insisted on doing live to the film, and that her band, us, had to be live as she sang. And so I Will Always Love You. Now I can say, because of her insisting, that the saxophone solo I played on that song is the sax solo that's been heard by more people than any other saxophone solo. You can imagine when I found that little factoid out, I kind of got freaked out, Nick, because I'm thinking Cannonball Adderley, you know, John Coltrane, you know, Grover. I mean, me, you know, it was pretty scary thought.
The saxophone is obviously a much different instrument, so how many different saxes do you play? Because you've got, first of all, how many different saxes are there? So you got soprano sax,
right?
You got tenor sax, alto sax, baritone sax. Am I missing anything?
Well, you're not, except that at the extremities, there are some saxophones that they've stopped making now. There's a tiny one called a sopranino, and it's just, to me, it's like a waste of time. It's just too tiny, and it's a little annoying. And then there's a huge one that's bigger than the baritone, is a bass saxophone. Once again, it's impractical. I mean, you need to roll the thing along, you know, on its own cart. But, you know, soprano, alto, and tenor, this is the tenor, those are the main three. And it's like a choir. Like people, you know, think of the voices in the choir: soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone.
There you go. All right, so let's talk about the new album. What's the focus? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What is it?
Yeah, I could talk a long time about that, so you have to cut me off. It's called Humanité, and my French speakers there in your city and all over the world know that humanité in French means humanity. And it was my pleasure to do 14 collaborations with emerging artists from 8 countries, some established artists as well, like the #1 artist in South Africa, Sahara, the #1 artist in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia, Afghan. You know, I go on and on. Marcus Miller, Keiko Matsui. But, you know, this record is really, it was my 60th birthday present to myself, and that was last year. You know, to go around the world, man, places that I've been and I've engaged with these young artists. Many of them have my age. They call me Uncle Kirk, you know, UNKIRK. I'm Kirk, that's my nickname on this record, because I'm collaborating with these young people in their space. And we made a project that really will remind you, Roland. Last time I saw you was here in Memphis for the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Martin King. And he always talked about the beloved community. And that's what Humanité is all about. It's about all of the various colors, the diversity of the world. At the end of the day, we're all alike. We all have the same needs in the sense of needing to be affirmed, needing to, you know, to be accepted unconditionally. And God accepts us. We're created in God's image, and God accepts us as we are. And then, you know, the relationship that we have with him is about us being more and more like him, right? But, man, this record is about collaborating with all these great artists. Man, I had more fun. I ate more food in Kenya and Japan and South Africa. And you know the deal. And France, it was crazy.
So I see, titles, Move On Up, Everybody Ought to Be Free, Don't Get Me Wrong, Wake Up Everybody, Wildflower, Get Your Wings Up, Now I Know, SJL, Koga Rocho, Blow For You, Kwetu, Peace, We Shall Overcome You, From the East to the West. So, that certainly definitely speaks to the world traveling you did with those titles.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, Kodagocho, for example, is a slum in Nairobi. I know you've been to Nairobi, but Kodagocho is literally next to the city dump. So these children in this music program, I recorded these kids, man. My producer, James McMillan from England, we went and recorded these kids, man, and they had never been in the studio, didn't even know how they worked. And those kids have to, their music program is outdoors in this slum. They burn the trash in the dump, and the smell wafts over into where these kids are making music, man. And to me, it just breaks my heart that that's the environment in which they have to make music. But you know what? It's the most beautiful music, man, that just touches your heart. And those kids were so happy to be a part of this. And that story is told over and over again on Humanité. Like these collaborations with the far-flung corners of the world where, you know, you feel the culture, the pulse of the culture in the music. Something like Kwetu, you know, and same thing in Nairobi, an artist, Aaron Rimbui, a great jazz pianist from Kenya. I mean, you know, then we go to Indonesia, or I'll tell you what, Nigeria. We recorded with a Nigerian artist who lives in Paris. As you know, I used to live in Paris. I speak French. So she and I recorded in Paris. Her name is Asha. But she, you know, is originally from Lagos. And man, you know, just the inspiration that you and I got that day in Memphis, I carried that into this process. And she and I wrote a song called We Shall Overcome You. And it was for the Parkland, Florida kids, man, talking to the NRA, like, you know what? We are going to overcome you, and we're not going to be like you, you know. These are the things I was able to weave into this Humanité project.
Well, the CD is called Humane. Folks, we certainly want you to get it. Kirk, you got all those saxophones surrounding you. Let's hear something.
Shoot, man, I don't know. Does the saxophone even make a sound? My brother.
All right, for everybody listening, just so y'all know, y'all heard Kirk didn't tell y'all name of that song. That song is called Glow. That's off his CD, and you know that, his second CD. Let me tell you something right now. I'm being straight up. If you can't get none in playing that song, go to a monastery. I'm telling you right now, that is an absolute love-making song. Huh?
Hey, man, listen, this is Biscuit, and I think even Biscuit likes that song, man.
That is a love-making song. I'm telling y'all.
I
didn't ask this question.
I play that song in The Dog Next Door. Watch out. This is coming.
Okay, I gotta get this in. I did ask this here. One thing you do, Kirk, you first of all, your ministry is hugely important. Your faith is important. You infuse all of your music with that. We know about the gospel according to jazz. Just why is that so important? Because on so many of your albums, I mean, there's a gospel song on every single one of those albums.
Well, really, you know, my life revolves around the hesed of God. In other words, that word in Hebrew means the loving kindness and tender mercies of God extended to me. That's the only way I got to do what I'm doing and share what I'm doing with the world. God's unconditional love for me manifest in Jesus the Christ, man. And so with me, it's not about me going and pushing that on anybody. It's about me. I can't help myself. I'm so grateful and I'm so inspired to share that message that, you know, I accept you, not just because I'm a good person. No, I accept you because God accepts you. And he accepted me, and I know how I am. So for him to accept me, man, all I can do is accept you. And that is the message of Humanité. And by the way, it's a documentary that we made as well. But the filmmaker went all over the world with us to make that documentary. And this record is really, really something.
Well, your daddy was a pastor. Your brother, Reverend Kenneth Whalum, pastor. I do his men's service every year in April there in Memphis. And when are we gonna have this massive Whalum project? You got Peanut, your nephew. Your nephew plays with Bruno Mars. Your other nephew played with Maxwell. Your brother sings. Your other brother sings. When are we gonna have this massive Whalum family project?
So we actually did that for my mother's for our mother's 80th birthday, all right? So Helen, I love you, baby. We did the whole project just called Helen. It's got her picture on the cover and that doesn't even have songs listed. But we all got together, man, except Uncle Peanuts. He's 90 now and, he can't do it. But, man, we're going to do that, actually. We do something here in Memphis, Roland. I want to get you to come. It's called Cafe Kirk. The word Kirk, of course, means church. So I feel like this Cafe Kirk is like a space in the middle between a public space and a sacred space. And so in that space, man, I'm inviting, for instance, Bob James is coming on November 3rd. I've had Keiko, man, I've had some of your favorite artists, man. I had Sheila E. It's been crazy, but that's something that I've had Cameron and Cortland on that one. But I'm going to have all these Whalums together at one point, man, at Cafe Kirk. And that's at Crosstown Concourse in Memphis every first Sunday.
You let me know when that happens. I'm there. I'm always there. I got your back. I'm always checking you out. And that would absolutely be awesome. Folks, I'm telling y'all, get the new CD, Humane. And while you're there, go ahead and get floppy disk. And go ahead and get colors. Go ahead and get For You. Go ahead and get all of them. Because y'all know I'm always tweeting the music as well. Kirk Whalum, always good to see you, my brother.
Man, people can just type my name in any social media. Just type Kirk Whalum, and they got me.
All right, then. You take care. I'll see you soon.
Peace out, brother.
All right, take care. All right, folks. Always having a good time. In fact, I'll tell y'all this funny story. When we went to MLK 50 commemoration, Kirk was playing, and he was playing Do You Feel Me? And actually, that was the theme song that I played on my radio show at WVO in Chicago. And so Kirk called me on stage to sing it. And the problem is they were singing in a higher key. But we still had a little fun with it. I'm going to show y'all that video one day. All right, folks. Got to go to a break. We come back. I'm going to chat with Chef Jeff Henderson right here at the Blueprint Men's Summit in Chicago. We're going to talk about criminal justice reform, culinary arts. Could that be the future for a lot of brothers in terms of choosing the career path? That's next. Roland Martin Unfiltered, live in the Windy City. Back in a moment. /Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
AFSCME members don't just hand over our voice on the job and our seats at the table. 5 justices don't get to decide our future, and no one can steal our freedom unless we let them. When the Janus decision went against us, we became energized, not demoralized. The billionaires and their political allies targeted AFSCME members with dishonest propaganda campaigns. But when they try to get us to turn on each other, we lock arms in solidarity, defiant and determined. Since the Janus decision, for every person who has dropped their AFSCME membership, several more have decided to join. Adversity brings out the best in us. The more ferociously they come after us, the more fearless we become. In the face of the ruthless attacks against our union, we show the same courage, loyalty, and resilience we demonstrate every day in serving our communities. And more people recognize the importance of unions, the role we play in empowering working people and acting as a check on corporate power. Unions are enjoying the strongest popular support in years. We didn't just survive the Janus case, we stared down this crisis and emerged with renewed strength. We're alive and kicking, wind at our back, ready to go on offense, with heightened levels of activism, more inspired and emboldened than ever. We are AFSCME strong.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it just messes me up every single time. So I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
Unfiltered.